This is AP News Minute. The number of confirmed coronavirus cases in the United States has reached 5 million, according to a count from Johns Hopkins University. Health officials say that for every reported case, there could be 10 more that were either not recognized because of mild symptoms or not caught by tests. The White House faces questions about whether the president's executive orders on coronavirus relief are constitutional and how many states will join to pay their part of unemployment benefits. The United States is teaming up with other nations to send hundreds of millions of dollars in aid to Lebanon. A massive explosion in Beirut last week leveled numerous buildings, killed at least 160 people, and injured thousands more. Authorities in Portland, Oregon quickly declared a riot on Sunday night as protesters marched to a police union building. The protesters set dumpster fires and blocked a road. Some protesters were apparently detained. This is AP News Minute. The number of confirmed coronavirus cases worldwide has moved past 20 million, according to a count by Johns Hopkins University. 5 million of the cases have been confirmed since July 22nd, with two-thirds of them in the United States, India, and Brazil. President Trump says he's still open to a deal with Democrats in Congress over coronavirus relief. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer are calling for $2.5 trillion and say Republicans don't understand the severity of the situation. A rare storm packing winds of up to 100 miles an hour left a trail of destruction across the Midwest. Downed trees, damaged buildings, flipped trucks, and power outages are reported from Nebraska and Iowa to Michigan and Indiana. There are few signs of masks in Sturgis, South Dakota, where thousands of motorcycle riders are holding an annual rally. Organizers said fewer bikers are coming this year, but local authorities say arrest, citation, and accident totals are keeping pace with last year. This is AP News Minute. Joe Biden is set to appear in public with his running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, in Delaware on Wednesday. The presumptive Democratic presidential nominee picked Harris for vice president and called her a fearless fighter for the little guy. Minnesota Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar was nominated for a second term in office, defeating a candidate who said she was more focused on her national image than local issues. Northwest Georgia Republicans nominated U.S. House candidate Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has expressed support for far-right conspiracy theories. An Oregon district attorney says protesters who've been arrested on nonviolent misdemeanor charges since late May won't be prosecuted. The DA says the new policy recognizes that the protests in Portland stem from outrage and frustration over racial injustice. President Donald Trump is urging college football teams to keep playing despite the coronavirus pandemic. The Big Ten and Pac-12 called off their seasons on Tuesday because of COVID-19, but several other conferences still plan to play football.
This is AP News Minute. The White House and congressional Democrats are still far apart on a coronavirus relief deal, with negotiations said to be all but over. President Trump says Democrats are, quote, holding the American people hostage, while Democratic leaders say the White House won't budge in negotiations. The U.S. military says Iran's Navy briefly seized a Liberian-flagged oil tanker in the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Video from the U.S. military Central Command shows people who are apparently Iranian special forces fast-roping from helicopters onto the ship. A Central Florida sheriff banned his deputies from wearing face masks, except in certain situations. Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods says many medical professionals support wearing face masks, but just as many disagree. And about 100 homes and buildings are under mandatory evacuation orders due to a fast-spreading wildfire north of Los Angeles. The fire was reported Wednesday afternoon and quickly burned through more than 15 square miles in the Angeles National Forest.
This is BBC World News. I'm David Eads. The headlines. Germany, France and Spain have all registered a record number of new daily coronavirus infections. The news is particularly worrying coming in the middle of August, the very peak of the European holiday season. India has overtaken Britain to become the country with the fourth highest number of deaths as a result of COVID-19, with more than 46,000 fatalities. The United States, Brazil and Mexico remain the three worst affected nations. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been setting out their vision for the United States in their first joint appearance since he chose her as his vice presidential candidate. And a Belarusian protester has died in police custody. It's the second death since clashes erupted over the disputed presidential election. And those are the headlines.
The event is set for November 3rd of this year. That's the Tuesday after the first Monday in November, and that phrase has determined the date of elections in America since Congress passed a law about it in 1845. The tickets are now set, and by that we mean the names of the two people who will appear on each major party ballot. For the Republicans, incumbent President Donald Trump clinched his party's nomination in March. He hasn't formally been nominated yet. That's scheduled to happen later this month. But March was when President Trump had won enough delegates in the U.S. primaries and caucuses to virtually guarantee his nomination. Completing the Republican ticket is incumbent Vice President Mike Pence. He's a former governor of Indiana, and he served several terms in the U.S. House of Representatives before that. For the Democrats, former Vice President Joe Biden clinched his party's nomination in June. The process took longer because many more Democrats were in the running. Biden will also formally be nominated later this month, and this week he announced that his running mate would be U.S. Senator Kamala Harris from California. Harris is one of the candidates who competed with Biden for the Democratic presidential nomination. Her mother was from India and her father from Jamaica. Harris is the first woman of color to run for U.S. vice president for a major political party. By tradition, the candidates' nominations are made official at the Republican and Democratic national conventions. In normal times, these are major packed events with delegates attending from all over the country. But these are not normal times thanks to COVID-19, so much smaller and virtual gatherings will replace the massive party fanfare we're used to seeing.
This is AP News Minute. President Trump's campaign is suing 2 Iowa counties to try to invalidate tens of thousands of voter absentee ballot applications. Trump admitted in an interview that he's keeping funds from the Postal Service to make it harder to process mail-in election ballots in November. India is now reporting 48,000 coronavirus deaths, more than any country other than the U.S. and Brazil. India also has reported more than 2 million COVID-19 cases, but the majority of those people have recovered. Texas says it has fewer than 7,000 hospitalized coronavirus patients for the first time in 6 weeks. However, state health officials are worried that not enough people who don't have symptoms are getting tested. And several more wildfires broke out in Southern California as the region deals with a fierce heat wave. The Lake Fire north of Los Angeles is threatening more than 5,000 homes.
School bus drivers led a noisy caravan of protest through downtown Los Angeles on Thursday, making their voices heard through the sound of their horns. They're demanding more funding from the federal and state government to help reopen their schools safely, amid a nationwide debate about resuming in-person schooling during the global health crisis. Drivers from the Los Angeles Unified School District, the nation's second largest, were joined by other vehicles as they circled around City Hall in protest. John Lewis has been a driver for the district for 3 decades now.
I miss work. I love my job. I love the students and people I work with, but I understand why we can't be at work right now because it's just not safe right now. Until they get conditions safe, then I prefer us to be at home. I prefer everyone to stay home and stay safe, you know. We don't want nobody, I don't want nobody else to lose their life because of this pandemic.
Earlier this month, the Los Angeles Teachers Union and local education officials agreed on a plan for resuming online-only classes at the end of August. And California's powerful teachers union strongly oppose in-person instruction without safety measures that could be difficult and expensive to put in place. LAUSD Superintendent Austin Buettner explains.
The investment we have to make in cleaning a school, the investment we have to make in keeping people safe by spreading desks apart, providing extra equipment, providing devices, internet access, all that costs more money. And lest we have a health crisis turn into an education crisis, we need to make sure the funding is there for schools.
Most experts agree that safety measures for in-person learning as well as remote learning will require additional funding from the state and federal government.